Hello and welcome. In this video I will show you how to use a lookup table in order to provide information for a field in another table. Let's take a look at this example. We have a Microsoft Access database and I have a customers table, and in the customers table I have a field called city. To save the user from typing a city name, since we have limited options, for example here we have 7 Emirates, what we can do is create another table called cities where we have all the possible options or the Emirates that we have, and then in the customers table use the cities table as a lookup. Okay, so we will do that in Visual Studio and link the two tables together. Alright, let us start a new project. And I will call it DB Lookup Application. Okay, I will start by creating a data source, which is basically a connection to the database. I want a new connection and I want to connect to the customer database that I just showed you. Make sure you test it. Next. I don't want to copy it into the project folder. Okay, now in here what I want to do is to choose only the customers table and create a data set, and then later create another data set for the cities. Notice the name customer data set. Okay, now in this data set I'm going to choose the data grid view and I will drag into my form. I will dock this and expand my form. Okay. Notice all the objects that got created for me automatically when I did that, including the binding source and the table adapter. If we run this application, we have our 3 customers, each one in a different city. Now notice that these are text boxes, meaning if I want to enter or change the city I would have to type it. To save this I will use the cities table as a lookup table, so that in here instead of having a text box I would have a combo box. So I will close this. Okay, there are different techniques to do that. One way is to use a binding source. So what I will do, I will create a new data source, okay, which would have basically the same information, but in here I would choose my cities as a new data set. So that one was customer data set, this is the city data set, and I'll click finish. Okay, now that I have a new data set, what I can do, I can create a binding source that will connect to this data set. So basically I will go to my toolbox, all windows form, and drag a new binding source into my form. Now this binding form, if I look at the properties here, I will change its name and call it the city binding source. Okay, now I need to say that this binding source is actually using which data source is the city data source, which is basically available for me as a data set within the memory of my application. So city data set. Alright, now within the city data set I have only one table, so this would be the data member cities.